Frequently asked question number 29. Why do my succulents put out aerial roots? Now guys, there are various factors why a succulent will put out aerial roots. For reasons like it's not getting good amount of light, due to which the succulent is stretching and now it is starting to put out aerial roots. Another reason could be that the succulent is trying to stabilize. Another reason could be that there is not enough space in the pot for the roots to grow, hence it starts to put out aerial roots. Another reason could be that there is some issue with the stem. The main stem has dried out and now it has to grow, so it tends to put out aerial roots. The main reason for the aerial roots is to absorb moisture from the air. So the major job of the aerial roots is to absorb moisture from the environment. I mean, that's what roots tend to do. They tend to absorb moisture. Now here, as you can see, this is another example. Now these are my Crassula baby necklace. You can see a lot of aerial roots over here, as well as I seen it over here, as you can see. Now this was definitely not because of lack of sunlight, because it gets a good amount of sunlight, but this was majorly because I haven't been watering this pot as much as this plant needs. And as you all know, it has been raining of late and there is a lot of moisture in the environment. There is not a lot of humidity during the daytime, but yes, during the night time there is a lot of humidity. Now because there is so much of humidity and the plant and the succulent is not getting enough water from the soil, hence it decided to put out aerial roots, because it knows that there is a lot of moisture in the air. Something that the roots cannot compensate inside the pot, it will put out aerial roots so that it can take the moisture from the air. So you can see the amount of aerial roots that are present on the succulent. Now ideally these aerial roots are completely harmless. They are not going to harm. Now a lot of people do not like the appearance of the aerial roots. Then it's up to you. You can just trim them off with a scissor, but ideally it is not going to cause any harm. In fact, it is going to help the succulent even more by absorbing water. So in case if you even tend to underwater your succulent, and if there is a good amount of humidity, or if there is a good amount of moisture in the air, then the succulent will start taking up that water from the air. So in case if you have forgotten to water, then these aerial roots will appear. Now it's very common in a lot of succulents, especially on Kalanchoes, whether you water or you don't water, they still tend to put out aerial roots. A lot of times the jade, a lot of these Crassula varieties tend to put out aerial roots. It's very rare in sedums and echeverrias. Sedums at times you might notice, but in echeverrias it's very rare, because as we all know, the stem of the echeveria is not very visible. It's usually a very compact, close to the ground kind of a succulent. So in those succulents you will not be able to see aerial roots unless the stem has stretched or something like that. But ideally in echeverias you will not see. But yes, there are certain echeverias, like this one is a cutting of Echeveria prolifica. Echeveria prolifica is one of the succulent from the Echeveria genus that tends to put out a lot of aerial roots. You can see the amount of aerial roots. The moment the succulent feels like it's not getting enough water, it will start to put out aerial roots. You can see the amount of aerial roots on this piece of prolifica. So this is one of the Echeveria that tends to put out a lot of aerial roots, but others do not put a lot of aerial roots until the stem has really stretched a lot in an echeveria. But it's very common among Crassulas and jades, and even for that matter the Kalanchoes, they also tend to put out really thick aerial roots. But again, at the end of the day, aerial roots are not harmful, but it is a kind of indication to you that the succulent is being underwatered. It requires more water. That's why it's putting out these extra roots, so that it can absorb moisture from the air. Another thing is, in case if the pot is too small and if the roots have grown too much into the soil, now they are not able to absorb that much of moisture, then again they tend to put out aerial roots. So a couple of factors, but the major factor is when the soil is dry for a long time and the succulent wants to grow, it is going to put out aerial roots, especially in Crassulas, jades and Kalanchoes. This is a very common phenomena. So the basic main feature of the aerial roots is to absorb moisture from the air. There is nothing to be worried, but yes, it is giving you a sign that you need to check on your watering schedule. Probably the succulent is not getting enough water what it requires. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and thank you so much for watching.